And with that, Allison, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dwight. I'm going to make sure I have my slides shared. All right, can you see my slide now? Yes, thank you, David.
Looks great.
So, hi, everybody. Welcome to an introduction to the social media archive, SOMAR. Thank you for joining us today, and we hope you enjoy this presentation. We would like to start by introducing ourselves. So, hello, my name is Allison Sweet, and I am one of the senior data project managers working on the SOMAR project. My co-presenter is Davis Thomas, who is another senior data project manager also working on the project. So if you are someone who is interested in depositing the data with SOMAR, you will probably speak with David, if not also me. As well, I am working on some other areas of the project, like the setup of the resources data application system or user support workflows, for example. So if you need to ask questions about items like accessing resources data from SOMAR or any application requirement, you may speak with me and potentially have occasional interactions with another project manager. As a quick note for you all, I am profoundly deaf and aware that I have a deaf accent. So please feel free to let us know or send a chat to us if you need us to slow down or repeat something. We completely understand if the feeling that when one misses something and we want to know what that something is. So we would like to ensure that you are included and able to follow along to enjoy the presentation. And as you know, we can answer your question after our presentation if they are not pressing. All right, so let's have a look at the topics that we will cover for SOMAR today. First, we will go over the SOMAR overview, goal, and staff details. Then we will move on to the SOMAR data products and data sharing that cover items like the data that we have available, accessing data from SOMAR, releases that we have planned for 2022 and 2023 so far, and sharing data with SOMAR. Finally, we will let you know the kinds of resources and training we plan to provide for the SOMAR data user and depositors. And now that we've covered the outline of the presentation, so let's proceed to the SOMAR overview, mission, and staff detail. So what is SOMAR? Let's talk about that. As mentioned earlier in our presentation, SOMAR stands for the Social Media Archive. It is a new initiative to build a repository for sharing and using social media data at ICPSR. The existing work on SOMAR was made possible by a grant from the Michigan Institute for Data Science. As well, SOMAR has received additional funding from Meta as an investment to support the vision of SOMAR and to help build it so that it continues to exist and support social media research for years to come. I'd like to add that this is also an opportunity for other funders to get involved, and potential supporters are encouraged to reach out to the ISR development team to discuss. And to add, we would like to share that SOMAR's goal is to make social media data accessible to researchers who lack the technical or computing resources to capture data independently, and as it enables researchers to share and access data from social media while respecting the platform's terms of service and users' privacy expectations. So like ICPSR and all the other topical archives, SOMAR strives to make social media data findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. To help fulfill SOMAR's goal, we will offer access to social media data via the SOMAR website and the current enclave. We will have archiving services for those sharing their data, and we can provide these services also for replication data and metadata or re-entry. The project team will also provide support for data preparation, management, and research. And finally, we will provide user support, educational resources, and training for researchers. Before we get further into our presentation, we would like to introduce you to SOMAR leadership and team. So Libby Humphrey is the project director, and she has been such an impactful and vital leader for SOMAR. Her vast research in social media also helps to strengthen SOMAR's goal, as well as the strategy and archive development. Then we have the rest of the team currently consisting of manager and a product owner. As you already know, David and I are project manager and the project. We also have Abe as well, who is a product owner. And as a product owner, Abe will help our team to manage SOMAR technical development needs. And we want to mention that SOMAR is hiring another senior data project manager to collaborate with project director and other managers in SOMAR's data science and research effort. The link is available on this slide for anyone of you who would like to check it out and share as you will. ICPSR social media posts on Facebook and Twitter are also available for you to retweet and share. And now that concludes my portion of the presentation. Stephen Thomas can take over from here. So Stephen, the floor is now yours.
All right, thank you, Allison. I am now going to share, picking up where you were. All right, it looks like the slide is where you left off and now I'm controlling it. Thanks, Allison. All right, so I'm David Thomas again, like Allison said. I'm one of the project managers with SOMAR. You just saw Libby's picture, as Allison said. I mean, not only is Libby a director of this, but she's also, you know, like she is doing research on social media because, you know, one of Libby's many hats at the University of Michigan is that she is a School of Information professor. All right, so now what you're seeing is a listing of the available data products regarding social media currently, right? So these things right here, right now are existing outside of SOMAR. So what we're going to try to do, because this is always that catchy, not catchy part, but that risky part, right? I'm gonna click on a link and see where it takes us. I mean, I've tested this before. All these links worked as of like 5 minutes ago. So let's see what happens, but I want to tell you about them. All right, so what people hopefully should be seeing is the ICPSR Me Too tweet IDs. So this is one study available on the ICPSR site, right? And this, this is one of those first fun things because I got to work on the like project management curation for this. In that, social media, if you're familiar with ICPSR, you kind of know what we do. We're like survey data. Yeah, we could do that. We know how to process that. We know how to curate that. Great, great, great. Well, then tweet IDs, those aren't survey data, so this was part of our whole thinking about, okay, how do we transition? How do we prepare for the future? If you were listening to Maggie's, state of the consortium talk, you heard her talking about that and what's to come. And this is part of that extra energy, that extra movement of, making ourselves, ICPSR is already big, in our opinion, like big, and we like to ingest and disseminate lots of data in a lot of standard ways. Well, now we're thinking about it, okay, the world changes, change happens. Now what? Social media is not like survey data in the same way. Some of the files are bigger. Some of the ways you have to deal with them are bigger. That's why giving another plug, right? We're looking for that special person to join our team. It says Senior Data Project Manager, but it really is more on the data science, data support kind of stuff. So if you know people in that, with those skills, send them our way, please, please, please. And as we look at this, what you're seeing, is a study and talking about tweet IDs. So this is when, and working on this is when I got to learn about something called hydration and dehydration when it comes to data. I've been working this kind of job for a while now, had never heard about that. kind of set in my ways. Like, I don't know anything about dehydration. I mean, I know sports wise, but this has been a new term for me. And so what we, so we had to think of new ways to present these, and I'm moving quickly. Well, I'm moving my mouse quickly. Really, it's an arrow key, but you don't care. And as you go through the normal ways of getting stuff for us, you're seeing this. We're like, oh, okay. You see the tweet IDs, and this is something like as you apply, you would get it, and then you'd have to do the dehydration. And so you'd need some amount of skill sets and stuff like that, maybe have a data team to do that. So that's one way you're seeing social media data on ICPSR. Another way is, let's see how this works. All right, hopefully now you're seeing, the social media platforms, what they miss about white supremacist speech. So again, going back to Libby, and this is her own work, looking at this, saying, oh, yep, she not only wants you to share your data, but she's sharing her data too. And so what you're seeing here is on the Open ICPSR site, more information about this. Just another side note, I am pretty sure out there on YouTube and other social media platforms, you can hear Libby talk about this work if you want to know more about that. And so as you read more about this work, you hear more about this work, this work is very timely, kind of unfortunately, but again, different types of data files, which you're seeing, since it's Open ICPSR, the metadata are already there, the files are already there. JSON, if you're familiar with JSON files, great for you. I am far less familiar with JSON files. And so again, allowing people to just go right to this site, download, go through the post-it notes, like the Reddit posts and the samples and the delimited files, work through that, and then you can also see the funding sources, just like everything else. And then she posted another one, right? About, again, elections and the base and other information again. And so you see scores and R files and all these things, and a summary. And again, these are the data that are already available. And probably there are more too, honestly, but that are already available about social media, regarding social media on our site. Going back to the presentation, so those were the three just covered, and now what we want to talk about is now the future, right? Because one of the cool things, one of the exciting things about this project is that, this is part of the moving forward piece. ICPSR is moving forward. I doubt we'll be the only archive, or are the only archive that, are getting data that have a social media component. But again, we are focused. This is our focus, as opposed to, like a subject area. Our subject area basically, is social media. So the topics are going to be varied. But the kind of platforms is where we're focused, right? And so as you think about that, and as we've been thinking about this, much of the SOMAR data will be available through restricted use applications. For those of you who are very familiar with that, I believe many people are at this point, for a variety of reasons, to protect respondents, to protect data, all these things. So again, much of the SOMAR data will be available and are available through restricted use applications. One thing that's going to happen, as again, we talk about change, is that a lot of these data will be accessed through the virtual data enclave, as opposed to, depending on your familiarity with ICPSR, secure download or something like that. The advantage of this, one is like, so people are using data, kind of in a set space, particularly as we look at, varying processing loads and file sizes. This allows us to have, and this allows the user to have an environment that we know can handle these files, and as the files come in, we need to adjust, we, ICPSR at the University of Michigan, are able to leverage our resources to make that happen. And so we think that's a positive thing. We're also working on the SOMAR site, and we are updating that. We're working on that. Again, social media moves fast. We have to move quickly as well, or fast, want to use those adverbs, right? And so, we're doing that. We're building a site. I can take you to the site now. It is very basic, and it tells you that we're coming soon, right? And you can take a moment, not necessarily now, because, I'm talking. But, maybe later on, you can go in, sign up to get our emails. Let us know why you're interested in SOMAR. That'll be great. And that way you can keep up with us, because as we are working through this right now to get more data on our site, going back to the presentation, right? And that will be one of the things, is that as we bring this forward, you'll be able to see, the data that we have available through our site, and you'll also be able to see how to apply for those data and what to do and the processes, and then more than likely, as you do that, you will get some interaction with us, with Libby, with Allison, with me, with maybe, with, if one of you are going to be our, the next member of our team, maybe with you. And again, that person who we're trying to hire on the team might also be involved with you in helping you to navigate how to use these social media, the social media data that are on the site. So again, like a coming soon, the release part, right? Later this year, because we're getting to late 22 and through not just late 2023, but all of it, right? Data containing information on the impact of social media on attitudes and behaviors during the 2020 election, right? Again, people will need to use those data, go into the secure enclave, but also do all those things. Now, remember, this is like a standard ICPSR thing. You want to prepare your materials, and you want to prepare what you're doing, for that application, right? A lot of people, I don't know if it's a lot of people, but people sometimes think it's immediate. This is not the kind of thing you want to wait until you absolutely need it to start the application, because like many other things, you're not applying to me, Allison, or Libby, to use these data. You're applying your organization on behalf of you, or researcher, are applying to use data and going into an agreement with ICPSR. So it's organization or institution to institution agreements. We see a question, we'll get to that. And so one of the things we want you to do is be on the lookout for our press releases, for our promotions. Look for us on social media, right? You want to go to social media to find data about social media. A little funny bit there. Well, I mean, like, it's cute, not like a joke. That was not a joke. That was just noting the kind of like, oh, what you have to do. You're in it. And so, look for us. Please stay engaged with us. We are doing our best to bring this to you. Like I said, I mean, we are excited about the opportunity to do this. And because of that, we have lots of energy toward it. We look forward to having new experiences with data, and we hope you do too. And one of the things I want to highlight again from Allison's intro, where it talked about, researchers who haven't always had the experience with social media data. We hope that one of the impacts of this will be getting connections between, people who do have experience and people who don't have experience, people in areas maybe not just in School of Information or Information Science, Data Science, maybe partnering with people in places like sociology, psychology. When we talk about the political attitudes, that's definitely like a political science kind of, leaning. So people are collaborating and doing those things. So we see, how all these things come together, where not everyone needs to be a Python person, but if you can get a Python person, with maybe someone from Soc who's doing this work and get together, then we can see even more collaborations, even better research, even more excitement. And then we also want people, as you make those connections and build those data, share those with us, right? We're talking right here, you can see the slide, we're talking about replication data are accepted. We're talking about people reaching out to us at this email address, somar-icpsr@umich.edu, right? For the readers, SOMAR-ICPSR@umich.edu, right? And so that's another thing we want to do. We want people, to get out there, use these data, create data, pull data down, figure out new ways of interacting with data. Depending on how, as an institution, your interests, come to us, as we're saying right here, contact ISR development. Contact us, we can put you in contact with ISR development, as we build this out. Like any ICPSR archive or project, we are excited about this. We want this to be successful. And in order for that to be successful, we need to give you products that you, the researchers, are interested in. And we need to work with you to not only, get those products in but also to disseminate those products. It's a nice, going again about ecosystems and, collaboration and, kind of synergy. That's what we're talking about. Pretty sure this is the last slide, almost. Yep. Okay. And now you have a nice little piece of what counts as social media data. We were having a fun little discussion about what these various ones are. I don't know all of them, I'll be honest. I recognize Instagram. I looked one up. I believe the froggy one is Gab, Twitter. So probably Pinterest, Facebook, Wikipedia, YouTube, Reddit, and then some others that I don't know, but that's the breadth of what we're talking about, what counts as social media data. If you have a question, you just saw that email address, ask us, we can let you know. Please do, because we want your data. All right, now upcoming resources and training, right? So here we go. So, as part of being in the social media research environment, we understand that not everyone is at the same place with understanding what needs to be done with using restricted data, with using the virtual data enclave as opposed to like secure download, with best practices and analyzing social media data. Going back to that whole thing about collaboration, we are trying to be part of that community. And so, what you will see from us is guidance on these things, best practices. And that's another place where we feel we can, contribute to the environment, to the research environment, to the research community. So in the future, we also want you to look for trainings and resources from us that either we create or that we highlight, so that all of us can be better. Because also, this is a developing thing. It's fun to be part of something that's developing and growing and moving and changing. One of the challenges, but it's a good challenge, is as things change, we have to keep up. And we feel that we are well-resourced, well-prepared, and well-positioned to do just that, to provide leadership, but also to listen. And that's another part of leadership, to provide resources, to provide data, and to learn from all of you with your expertise and what you're already doing, and to hear the questions of what you have so that we can make this project better. Speaking of questions, this is our last slide. Let me make sure. Yep, it's our last slide. So now we're ready for your questions. I am going to stop sharing. I stopped sharing. That's successful. Can I turn it back over to Dory? Do you want to moderate? I don't know what's going on, but I see we have questions.
Stephen, it looks like there are a couple of few questions in our Q&A, and I've already answered one of them, typing, but I think one of the questions that you might be able to answer is the one from Clayton Hayes. where they said, am I correct in interpreting that this data set usually won't have the content or text of the social media post necessarily, so they point to post, if that makes sense?
So, good question.
Yeah, I mean, so it varies depending on, to my understanding, it varies depending on the social media type. When we were looking at that first ICPSR study, the Me Too tweet IDs, Clayton, I think that is exactly right, where that is that hydration, dehydration, rehydration kind of idea, where you would need to come to the site, get basically like a point in time screenshot, or not a screenshot, a point in time kind of look, and then, rehydrate them and do the things you need to do, or the what you desire to do with those data.
Then I think there was another question. I'm not sure that we can answer, is that do we have any plan to tag data with the upcoming Twitter edit feature? It sounds like something that we might be able to follow up, but I'm wondering if you know something about this, David.
Yeah, no, I don't know anything about that.
Okay.
That might be that sounds like a question from someone who really knows about social media research data, or using social media data in research.
It also sounds like a question for Libby.
It does. That's
Yeah.
what I was eventually going to get to that. So, the best idea might be to send that through to that, email address we talked about, and have Libby chime in where she can. Oh, let's repeat the question. Hold on, everyone. All right, this is the question. I'm just going to read it. Yeah, what she said. Do you have any plans to tag data for the upcoming Twitter edit feature?
Maybe a moment for Libby to see if she types in anything really quickly. She's a fast typer. She said we are actively looking at a metadata schema that will capture prominent issues like session and platform features.
There you go.
I think that was a pretty good silent answer.
All right. And I agree.
Oh, Libby also types in, we are also planning a sort of archive of platforms that explain how platforms updated their features over time, like when Facebook introduced reactions. Very cool, Libby.
Yeah. And then the last one, let's see. And someone asked us, how are we wait, Libby's saying more, sorry. She wants us, but if you have ideas, please reach out through email, whether they are ideas about metadata, data training, anything that would help data users. Again, speaking to building that community, building a resource, all of that. Another question that's come in is, this is the question, how are you handling how large social media data are? Will we be able to download manageable small amounts of data, or will those downloads be like terabytes? Well, that speaks to that question again about, the hydration, rehydration, dehydration. We see that as a challenge. And so, again, it depends on the social media, but there might be cases, yes, when we do these like point in time thing, we're working that out. There might be instances where we either have to really cut things up, to give, to use like metaphorically to get them in like bite size or like digestible pieces. So we're working that out. I don't know if there's going to be a single solution to all of that, a single way to do it. But so, we are building the capacity, to handle these data, because we understand that these data files will be large. And so that again speaks to like that virtual data environment that we talked about, being able to handle it. And so, you already have a platform where those can be where those data can be analyzed, but then also understanding that there will be instances where we're going to have to work, through and around those type of issues of like size. The goal would not be probably, lots of terabyte size files. I can't speak for what storage will look like in the future, but this is just like that off the cuff. Probably we don't want that, or we want to have ways if that is the way, ways to handle that really efficiently and effectively and consistently.
Also to add that we want to make sure that data users can also effectively analyze the large data with the programs that would help make the data analysis compatible for them, like Python programming, for example, will be one of the ways that we want to incorporate into the enclave analysis. Those are really great questions, and we're happy to answer more questions should anything else come up.
Yeah, and again, if you have data already, we've that email address, use it. We are happy to hear about data you want to deposit with us.
And again, please share the short post that we have shared a few times throughout our presentation. We are really excited about expanding our team and see what kind of things that we could accomplish over the next few years.
Yeah.
Anything else, David? I think you've done a pretty good job.
Yeah. So I think we're good.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks for, it almost feels like thanks for coming out, like have a safe drive home, but no, this is all virtual. So like, walk safely back to your kitchen.
That's right. Eat something, stay hydrated.
Eat something, yeah, stay hydrated.
All of the above.
Yeah, do what you need to do. But thanks for joining us. Allison, Dory, you want to close this out? Anything?
I just wanted to say thank you all for watching our presentation, and we hope to hear from you all in the future, whether it is that you want to talk to us about SOMAR or share your data with us. And I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. Just remind you that this will be recorded, and if you post about this on social media, tag us, #ICPSR. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.